This is Dan Yarnick from Yarnick's Farm. I'm at 155 Thomas Covered Bridge Road, Indiana, PA. I started the vegetable into the farm in 1981, so I've been growing greenhouse vegetables and field vegetables for 42 years. We also ran a dairy farm and a beef operation, which I kept. We were milking cows. We were shipping at the time to United Dairy Farmers, and they went bankrupt, so I worked for 6 months for nothing. And one of the other dairies, Menzie or Dairy Lee, had did it the year before. So I told my dad, I said, you know what, I'm tired of working for nothing 7 days a week. So I decided to build a greenhouse. I'd read in some of the different magazines about, it said growing tomatoes for profit, off-season, hydroponics. So I started looking into it, and I traveled around to different areas, Ohio and Somerset, and looked at different hydroponic greenhouses. And I always had a love for greenhouses when we get plants for the garden. So I said, I'm going to try this, Dad. And we had, they just drilled a gas well, and we had some gas that I could use off the farm. So I started growing hydroponic tomatoes in 1981. And it was a big hit. Back then there wasn't Canada full of greenhouses and Mexico full of greenhouses and these big operations, and it was very popular back then. Everybody started stopping in at the farm and saying, hey, can I buy a tomato? The local newspaper put it in there. And so we decided, hell, if we're selling here at the farm, we might as well build a market. And that's how we started with Yarnick's Farm and greenhouses. You have to be very dedicated. They're inside, you're controlling their destiny with the heat, with the cooling, with the feed. The windstorms make you very nervous. It's a 7-day-a-week job. You don't walk away and say, I'm going away for a few days, because you know, even with automation, you got to make sure it works. Power outage last week, we had to come down here at midnight and get the generators all running to make sure they had heat, and some of the systems have just roots and water, so the pumps always have to run. And so it's not an easy job. It's rewarding when everything works well. You're going to pick a ripe tomato in March. Clear up till, we had fresh tomatoes clear till January this year, and then we're replanted, and we're going to be picking here within 4 or 5 weeks. The quality, the flavor, being that we did this for 42 years, we really like growing for flavor here at Yarnick's, no matter what we grow, and so we've discovered varieties that like greenhouse culture but still taste good. A lot of heirloom tomatoes we do, and cherry tomatoes, and you know, different colored tomatoes. And so you're going to get a better tasting, longer lasting quality product. And it's just it's nice to have it local in your backyard. You pick it that day and you come here and it goes to your table that night. There's nothing better, nothing beats fresh and local. The ripening process is is almost a rotting process. Okay, so if it's ripe 2 weeks from now, by the time it gets you, it's losing some of its flavor and some of its nutrients. So by the time it gets to your table, it only has a few days left, and most of the time if you buy too much, you're throwing it out. The big problem is they're importing vegetables from Canada. They're all subsidized. They're importing a lot of vegetables from Mexico, Brazil. The competition and the cost of our new cost of running the farm, it's really hard to make anything. And the word cheap, you only get what you pay for in life. You can drive a Volkswagen or you can drive a Cadillac, and it's the same way with going to a local farm. You're going to get a Cadillac. Go to a grocery store, you're going to get a Volkswagen. You know, there's no comparison. But it's hard with all the competition. I was watching a film of our farm in 30 years ago, in 1993. My son was 3 years old, and my wife videotaped the whole farm, and she narrated it. And we happened to find this video, and we watched it the other night. We all got pizza, and she was driving around the farm, and she narrated a couple crops, and she said, "Here's a new crop of zucchini we're picking." It was in the end of May, and she said, "We're getting $6 to $8 a box." 30 years ago. Well, last summer I sold it wholesale for $6 to $8 a box, and my cost to 10 times what it was back then. So I really don't know how some of these farms are going to survive. I don't care how good you are at it. It's just they name your price, and that's, people need to realize, keep the local farms around, because pretty soon you're going to get all shipped in produce. You know, you buy local. I go spend money local. It helps. I love to buy local. I really hate buying anything that says made in Mexico, grown in Mexico, or China. You know, you go buy something to fix your equipment, or made in China. Come on, we don't. I just hate that. You know, it's gonna come back to bite us. Believe me, it is. Become friends with your farmer. I went to a doctor for back pain, and we became dear friends. And he said that. He said, "Dan," he said, "I want to be your friend because I know I might need you someday." And he's been a dear friend, and you got to keep your local farmers alive. I'm telling you, it's harder and harder for all of us. And you work 7 days a week, 100 hours a week, and sometimes you can't even pay your bills. It's and plus quality. I mean, the better you put in your body, the better it is. You know, you are what you eat. But we use a bumblebee, and they work really well in the greenhouse. We put a hive in each house. We don't get any honey from them. They live 10 weeks. But they work like crazy on the flowers, or the tomato flowers. And the cucumbers we grow are they don't need bees. They're all there's a nice name for it, but I can't say it well. So, but they're all female flowers. And every flower will make a cucumber. We're gonna open our shop March 24th. We always try to open around spring. We are pretty much a one-stop shop, and we really specialize in quality. If it isn't good, we don't want it. And we grow a lot of our own stuff, as you know. The greenhouses are all going to start producing. We've got lettuces and spinach. Leanne saw the beautiful spinach, kohlrabi's, beets, some tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. We'll have more as time comes on. We raise our own Angus beef. We use grain and alfalfa and grass when they're on their mamas. Once they come off their mamas in the fall, they're on full grain and full alfalfa hay. 2 types of minerals, no antibiotics, no hormones, all they can eat. They're well marbled, and they taste wonderful, and they're very, very tender. We raise about 40 head a year, and it all gets sold here at the market and we do sell by the half or whole or quarter, but we also have it available in our freezer. It's frozen as fresh beef. We're going to add some Deli Products this year. My wife makes the best potato salad on earth, and macaroni salad. We're going to be selling some of that. It's something different. We have our own pickles made. We have our own spaghetti sauces. We have tomato juice, and that's all made from our products here. It's all done at Republic Foods or Stello Foods, inspected, done safely. We have meats, cheeses. We do handle boar's heads. We've got the covers and the plastic ready to get the early corn in. We try to have corn by the end of June, but definitely by the 4th of July. And we'll be planting cabbage and lettuce. We have our own bakery, make some beautiful pies and stuff. That's why I'm so fat. And yeah, and we're doing same as always and looking for new things to add that taste really good. So we're going to be here 7 days a week once we open, starting in March, and probably from 9 to 5 at the beginning, and then once the weather breaks and we get more busy. We also do bedding plants, flowers. We grow a lot of the same vegetable plants we use in the fields, which you can't get at most local greenhouses, because we've studied and been growing veggies for 45 years. We want the best seed possible. And we appreciate each and every one of you and for coming out to the farm here and seeing us. It's the only thing we do to make a living, so. But we do appreciate all of you guys, so come and support local. You'll be glad you did. Ready for the market.